Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the latest edition of Wow, Lynch, Wow, dedicated to filmmaker David Lynch and inspired by the triumphant return of Twin Peaks. A friendly warning to everyone who isn't caught up on all 9 episodes of the new season of Twin Peaks. There will be spoilers and they will begin in just a moment, so viewers and listeners be warned. Part 9 begins with Bad Coop walking around on a farm looking like a broken down mess. Cole is flying around with his team. Tammy tells Cole that Colonel Davis was on the horn. Lieutenant Knox is with the body of Major Briggs waiting in Buckhorn, South Dakota. Bad Coop runs into his buddy Hutch, who along with Chantel have been waiting for him since the previous night. Chantel is eager to fix Bad Coop up. Cole tells Diane that they want to make a detour in Buckhorn. Diane's none too happy about this, and Cole explains to her it's something very important dealing with an old friend of Agent Cooper's pertaining to a Blue Rose case. Diane seems to be waiting for a text. Another call comes in to Tammy for Cole. It's Warden Murphy, who reports the bad news that Cooper flew the coop. Bad Coop sends a text that reads, "Around the dinner table, the conversation is lively." Bad Coop calls the gentleman named Duncan who sent Ike the Spike after Dougie Coop in his failed assassination bid, and Bad Coop warns him that the job better be done by the next time he calls. Bad Coop turns his attention to Hutch, and he orders him to eliminate Warden Murphy. And then he has a double-header for him lined up after that in Vegas, but he wants him to finish off the Warden first. Hutch agrees, and he tells Chantel to give the big boss a wet one. Dougie Coop and Janie E. are waiting patiently as Battling Bud Mullins is talking to the trio of Fusco detectives about Ike the Spike's failed attempt on Dougie Coop's life. Battling Bud says he doesn't know anyone who'd want to kill Dougie. The detectives thank him for his time, but then Battling Bud eyes the Fuscos suspiciously, noting it's very strange that Dougie's car blew up and then someone tried to kill him. Battling Bud Mullins makes a fist on his departure. Battling Bud is then nice enough to give Dougie the rest of the day off, but starting tomorrow he wants to work together with Dougie to find some answers. The detectives Fusco note the mysterious lack of background information surrounding Dougie prior to 1997. The Fuscos speculate that he might be somebody in witness protection, and one of the Fuscos said he'll dig and make a call. One Fusco bitches about the cost of taillights to the amusement of the other two before one of the Fuscos comes up with a brilliant idea. He goes off and gets Dougie a fresh mug of coffee, which Dougie immediately begins chugging merrily. Fusco then takes the old mug, places it in an evidence bag, and the other two Fuscos smile in approval of this master plan. They give the sergeant the evidence bag and ask him to run prints and DNA on Dougie's mug. The sarge then informs them that the prints from the palm on the gun were from their old friend Ike the Spike, and they also had a hit on his whereabouts at an off-strip motel. The Fusco trio is fired up, and they want to join in the fun. Cooper is sad, and he becomes mesmerized by a flag that seems to invoke patriotic feelings. A beautiful woman walks by, and I thought Coop was checking out her caboose, but his glance was actually drawn towards her red shoes, and he follows as she walks off for as long as he can. He then becomes mesmerized by the electrical outlet. The Fuscos are amused when they check out the expensive taillight. Police forces congregate outside the motel of Ike the Spike just as he pours himself a stiff drink. Ike packs his bag and leaves, but he's surrounded by law enforcement, much to the delight of the Fusco trio. Andy and Lucy debate over which colored chair they prefer. Andy likes the red one, but Lucy prefers the beige. Andy quickly gives in, much to the delight of Lucy. But I think Andy may have manipulated her here in order to help her feel good about herself. Johnny Horn is apparently on the loose, and he's running all over the place. That is, until he runs right into a wall. Johnny appears to be either dead or very badly hurt, and if I had to venture a guess, I'd say a vision of Laura Palmer probably came into play here. Bobbie visits his mother along with Hawk and Sheriff Truman. They want to ask her about Garland's last days, and Betty explains that Garland foresaw the moment when those three would one day arrive asking about Agent Cooper. Now that they did, Betty gave them something hidden in a chair that Garland instructed for her to give to them when the day came. And that day had now come, exactly as Major Briggs had foreseen. Cole and his team arrive in Buckhorn, and Diane smokes a cigarette as Detective Mackley and Lieutenant Knox lead Cole, Albert, and Tammy to the headless corpse of Major Briggs. Diane receives a text, apparently the one she's been waiting for, and it reads, "Around the dinner table, the conversation is lively." Whoa! Say it ain't so. Diane appears compromised and is perhaps working at the behest of Bad Coop. Was her entire interview with Bad Coop just a clever ruse to trick Cole and Albert? Albert and Cole see the Major's dead body in the ring that was found inside his stomach, and the two of them together draw a connection to Agent Cooper. Jerry Horn looks high and he looks baffled. His foot says to him, "I am not your foot." Jerry is frightened and appears to have lost control of his right foot. Is something going on like when Mike removes his arm? Jerry definitely seems to have found himself in the crosshairs of powerful forces. "No lunch in the conference room, Chad." Chad reluctantly leaves. Sheriff Truman is baffled about how to open whatever it was Major Briggs gave them. Bobbie laughs. He's amused. He knows the trick, but they have to go back outside, so they apparently kicked poor Chad out for nothing. Outside, Bobbie opens the device with a couple of football spikes. Inside are two small papers. One of them has the time and two dates, 2:53, 10-1, and 10-2, 253 yards east of Jackrabbit's Palace. That's 2 days from now and the day after. Bobbie will show them the way to Jackrabbit's Palace when the time presents itself. The other paper had 2 Coopers written on it. Cole takes a drag from Diane's cigarette. Tammy disapproves, but Cole looks delighted when taking that drag. Tammy interviews Bill Hastings about Major Briggs. Bill is doing an awful lot of crying, but he explains that him and Ruth had reached another dimension and that they saw the Major there and he was seeking out coordinates. Ruth had written those coordinates on her hand, and Bill swears that he didn't kill Ruth. He picks Major Briggs out of a group of images. Tammy has him circle, date, and sign. Bill does that, and if what Frank Truman said earlier was true, the date should be September 29th. But that looks more like Hastings wrote 9/20 to me. Ben and Beverly are still searching for the mysterious humming sound. They appear ready to have an intimate moment, but Ben says he can't do it. 2 broken down young ladies are chatting at the roadhouse. One of the young ladies, Ella, complains that she lost one job serving burgers, but now she has another job serving burgers. Ella has a rash that's awfully itchy, and she can't seem to resist the temptation of scratching it. And so ends Part 9. I thought Part 9 was another powerhouse episode. I especially like the way things from the first 2 parts are beginning to make sense and come together, and that they directly tie in with the circumstances involving Bad Cooper and Major Briggs. I like the journey we're seeing with Cole, Albert, and Tammy. I'm fascinated by what we're going to learn about whatever's going on with Diane's apparent treachery. And then we have so many other mysteries. The humming noise at the Great Northern, the plight of poor Jerry Horn, Dougie's ring inside the Major's body, and the brief adventure of Johnny Horn. We have all those things. The Fusco trio are kicking a lot of ass, and I can't speak for anyone else, but I, for one, am just itching to see part 10. I'm just itching to see it, folks. That's all I got. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great night.